Hey there, David Gordon from TheaterMania here with the great Tovah Feldshuh. We are talking about two projects. One is your new book, Lilyville.
Yes.
A memoir. The other is the Sunday afternoon's Play-PerView reading of Liba Weinberg's play, The Gett.
Yes.
Two exciting things. I want to start with the book because it just came out. It's a lovely read. You can find it wherever books are sold. It's a memoir about, oh, perfect.
There it is. There she is. Let's see if I can get it. There she is. That is the night of my bat mitzvah.
Really?
There is Mama Lily, and there I am in my Bonwit Teller little dress with the Kelly green cummerbund. And
what was your Haftorah portion?
Well, that's a wonderful question, and that's a brilliant question. The truth is, I don't remember, and in those days, I was the only bat mitzvah in my grade.
I would imagine, yeah.
We were only allowed to be bat mitzvahed on Friday nights.
Uh-huh.
That is correct. We chanted only the Haftorah. We were not allowed to touch the Torah. We were given candlesticks and a little prayer book. I write about this, a little white prayer book with our names engraved in gold on the bottom. And my father sang one of the blessings, probably over the wine, and the other girl, Nancy Cardin's father, sang over the bread. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg would have had a heart attack. I mean, talking about equality. And my party was that night in a basement. As I write in Lilyville, what's open at 10 o'clock at night in Scottsdale? Nothing.
On the Shabbos, on the Sabbath.
Yes, and yet it was on a Friday night. That's right.
Yeah.
And of course, we were in the conservative movement, but we drove to Temple and back.
Yeah.
Anyway,
about the book. Tell me about. Well, for those who don't know, tell us about the book.
Well, when Hachette asked me to write the book, write my memoir, I'm sure they expected brilliant opening nights and agonizing rehearsals and backstage love affairs. But I don't think they expected me to talk about the longest, most profound, and most successful role of my career, which I didn't audition for, but was put upon me, let us say, which was the role of Lillian Kaplan Feldshuh's daughter. And I thought it would be interesting to write a memoir where my mother's life is seen through my eyes, and my life, most importantly, is seen through my mother's eyes, and what it means to have a parent who loved you by doing deeds, but didn't say she loved you. She never told me she loved me for the first 18 years of my life until I finally asked her. So she was a deed doer. She was a very good person, and I was verbal, like my father. My father is a defense attorney, a litigator, thus Daniel Melnick. Law and Order. I just played my daddy. So I didn't get from my mother what I needed for that sense of security and ballast. And as a result, I created an artificial universe, first in the mirror, as a little girl saying, "Are you real? Do you really exist?" And then I would start with monologues or songs or playing different people. My grandfather Gershon was from Russia. My grandmother Ada was from London. My Marion Feldshuh was originally German, but she came down through Minnesota, so she talked a little bit like this, if you know what I mean, don't you know? And I had all sounds in my head, so I would do these playlets, let's say, in front of a mirror, and then I got the courage to tour the show from my bedroom in Scarsdale to my bathroom. And I'd shut the door, get on my stool. I was so little to reach the mirror and go on with my routines. And then I finally took them to the living room to play them for my two greatest fans, my father and my mother. And my father would, love me because I breathe. And my mother would sit back like this. When I wanted to go to Juilliard, my mother said, "You're not going to a trade school." So this was the support I got for my career.
Yeah.
And she was... I had to push through the no of my mother, the absence of verbal approbation in order to survive. And I had my daddy, but I also had this marvelous dream of creating different people every day of my life. And that's what we in the theater do, right? So that if 6 o'clock at night, I get to the Helen Hayes and I don't have Tovah Feldshuh's little picadillos or problems. I've got to take on Golda Meir. I've got to take on a prime minister. I got to take on Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which was the last play I did right before the pandemic. And I'm about to take on Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Yes, I'm going to California to be filmed because no one is allowed in the theater yet. And they're going to be filmed and they're going to stream me becoming Dr. Ruth by months.
Really?
Yes.
I did when? What
I
theater?
leave a week from today.
Amazing. What theater is?
I'll be at the North Coast Rep.
Oh, amazing.
And that is their 7th show that they're streaming under the baton of David Ellenstein. I'm very excited. They're very, very good at this. They just got written up in the Wall Street Journal with their last stream called Trying, which was a must-see. And then I'm going to be with my beloved Scott Schwartz, who directed me in Golders Balcony. I'm going straight to Bay Street to do a month of performances at the Bay Street Theater, June 4th to June 27th. I would be playing Dr. Ruth Westheimer, and I bet you will come. So there we go.
Do you know Dr. Ruth?
I do. And she has a very interesting German, Swiss, Hebrew, French, American accent. So it's wild to get her speech pattern. And I think that's the most important thing, to get the speech pattern, to get under it. Dr. Ruth was an orphan of the Holocaust, and she is so optimistic, and she so much goes forward in her life that even at the end of her sentences, she picks up the pitch. Yep.
Did she give you her seal of approval?
Oh, yes. She's been wonderful to me. She was at my children's weddings. She's a friend, and I'm honored to play her. I'm glad that David called me to do it. And the minute he said, I want to film you, I'm in the 3rd act of my career and my life now. I very much want my work to be filmed. I want to leave something for my children. My children and all of you whom I love to see.
Well, there's that beautiful, it's a documentary about you doing Golda.
Yes, there's a documentary, and now there's a film that Dave Fishelson pieced together from my performances down at Manhattan Ensemble Theater that will be
really.
Yes, it's called Golders Balcony, the film. If you go on goldersbalcony.org, you can access the film. Oh,
it's out now. It's available.
It's available on a limited basis.
Right.
If you have a problem, talk to me, and you can view it. And then eventually it will be released wide. When all the rights get into place.
I love that. I want to talk about the Gett, which is a play by Liba Weinberg. It's airing on Play-PerView online Sunday afternoon at 4:00 Eastern time. It's a Jewish myth about divorce.
Yes.
Tell me about it. Tell me about how you know the playwright and how you got involved.
Liba Weinberg and I met through The Soap Myth by Jeff Cohn. And we both had major roles opposite Ed Asner. And I played a Holocaust denier. I actually played a woman called Brenda Goodson, who was just adorable and absolutely irresistible. And she really had a very calm, precise, clear view of why the Holocaust didn't happen, why it was made up. And Liba played a reporter. And who doesn't love Liba Weinberg? She's brilliant. She went to Yale. And she wrote this play called The Gett being a Jewish divorce, and what it means to be a Jew in her position getting a divorce, and where Lilyville, Naomi Bunch, and the Gett have things in common is that the mother, I play her mother, are dedicated to preserving and protecting the young. So with Lilyville, since she was brought up with fear, her preserving and protecting the young was to the maxim was my way or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Naomi Bunch and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend with Rebecca Bunch, my way or the highway, where she comes out to a girl from Yale and Harvard who's about to become a partner in a prestigious law firm, goes out to West Covina, California to chase an unemployed skateboard rider, who isn't even of her faith, of her race, if you will, even though we know these are forbidden terms, but for the older generation, this was very scary for the mother. Likewise, the mother in the Gett wants Idichka, my child, to toe the line, to get settled, to be with someone. I loved my son-in-law, whose name is Baal, which I think is a very interesting reference.
Yeah.
Advocate either to stay married or to find another partner, and fast. So I came from the generation where you were still defined by the match you made, which is exactly what happened to Lily with Sydney, and exactly how Naomi sees how Rebecca should behave.
What, going back to you and your mother, you talk about, she lived till she was 103.
Yeah, a little over 103, yeah.
Yeah, which God bless.
Ooh.
Which of her which of your performances do you think she took to the best or the most or appreciated the most?
When I did Golda Meir, it became in Golda's Balcony by William Gibson at the Helen Hayes Theater. This was before the second stage had acquired it.
Yeah.
It became the longest running one-woman play in the history of Broadway, in 100 performances. And in 100 performances, in 100 years, in a century of theater. And my mother came backstage and she said, Tovah, I rate your parts by how you look. Dolly Levi was a 10. Golda Meir, 0. So this is what I lived with.
Yeah.
What parts did she love? She was proud of me if I did well, but really, she would have been fine if my theater career was a sideline, that I did community theater. When I married Andrew Harris Levy on March the 20th, 1977, we're in our 44th year of marriage, she said to me, and I just started in Yentl and gotten 5 awards, the Obie and the Drama Desk and whatever, the theater world, and my first nomination for the Tony. And she said to me before we went from the bridal chamber down to the terrace room to get married, she said, Tovah, darling, you can do whatever you want now. And I thought she meant film, television, the Holocaust miniseries, Law and Order, movies. You can do whatever you want now. You're marrying a Harvard lawyer.
And sometimes that's all that matters.
She built a throne to Andrew Harris Levy, and he deserves it. He deserves it.
It's the most Jewish conversation I've had in a while.
I'm sure, David. What was your Haftorah portion?
Ki Tavo, my bar mitzvah was September 8th, 2001.
Wonderful.
I can remember the first line. I'm not going to do it live, but I can remember the first line and nothing else.
That's pretty good. And mine was December 8th in an undisclosed decade.
What is it like for you to perform in this? The Play-PerView readings are great. They're done on Zoom mostly in this medium. Like, what is that like for you to perform?
So I'm listening to you, and I'm looking at your beautiful face, and then I look at this green dot, which I assume is where I'm supposed to look. The whole point is to connect, and so there's a plus and there's a minus. The minus is that I'm not vis-a-vis you, and I can't feel you cellularly.
Yeah.
In your orbit. My daughter went to MIT, and they say there's an exchange of molecules long before two hands touch. Right now, there's an exchange of molecules between my right hand and my left hand. So Zoom doesn't exactly promote that. However, it gets rid of space. So you can have people on the pay-per-view all over the world watching your work. I did an author night for Temple Emmanuel. They had 2,790 RSVPs and over 1,500 screens. That's like crazy great.
That's more than you get at Barnes & Noble in person.
That's the thing. You can get a much wider distribution of your work, and I hope people see the Gett. It's very worthy. It's deep. She demands from the audience for you to listen and to put the pieces together. It's not all laid out for you. And I think it's an excellent break for Daniela Topol and Rattlesnake Theater and Liba. I'm very, very happy about that.
Yeah.
So every Friday night, we're now on our 53rd. I have run the Friday night gatherings of my family. I sent out 90 invitations, and I'm not really. I love being my ethnic. I love my ethnic background. I love being Jewish. I have no problem with that. I'm not that religious. I'm not kosher. I do 8 shows a week. I'm not Shomer Shabbos.
Right.
But since the pandemic, our family has, and we arrived in 1902 and 1905. Our family's gotten together every Friday night, and not just Brandon and Jamie, my son and daughter-in-law, or Amanda and Joel, my daughter and my son-in-law and their children, but cousins, cousin Peter and Joan and Johnny and Lucille and Catherine. And we gather tonight from 7 to 8. We say the blessings. We exchange the news of the week. One of it was the launch of Lilyville. That was a big deal for me. And we connect. And in that sense, David, I've spent more time with my family because of the pandemic, my extended family, than I ever have in my life when we had all these only in-person meetings.
Yeah. And it's lovely in that sense. Minus the health stuff, but it's lovely to be able to connect like that.
Right.
In a new way.
No, I was very, happiness is a choice. I say it in Lilyville.
Yeah.
And other roles I played. I say it in the book. And if we have Zoom, you know, you make your peace with Zoom. And
Yeah.
I'm with you today, and I'm with you in my dining room. So it's very efficient. It's very. I've been on Zoom with my Pilates teacher, Pamela Beckerman, a wonderful teacher, I might say, for ages. And when I was writing the book, my dearest friend, Jeff Harner, was in the Zoom room for most of it. And I invited him to join me because I had a virtual writing room with my assistant, and my primary assistant, that was Oliver Scholson, also a graduate of Yale, and Jeff Harner. We'd be on Zoom. I'd be out in Quag at my vacation home where I lived for 9 months during the pandemic. And I would speak the book to these remarkable human beings. And Jeff helped me hone my voice and clarify my writer's voice, as well as the wonderful theatrical structure of Lilyville.
I love that too.
Jeff Harner said to me, "What do you know the best?" And I said, "The thing I know best actually is theater." He said, "Write it as a theater piece."
Yeah, and it worked.
Breakthrough. It was just a breakthrough. So I wrote 3 acts with 2 intermissions. Instead of having chapters, I have scenes. Instead of having a prologue, I have an overture. Instead of having an afterward, I have exit music. Instead of having acknowledgments, I throw a cast party to celebrate all who helped me. And certain Lauren Marino from Hachette and my dear friend Jeff Harner and Oliver Scholson and my other assistants were crucial in the success of this book, because I spoke the book. Oliver, I would hone, try to vivify, and Liebe does that too. How do you vivify a sentence? How do you paint a picture so that the reader can take it in, so that the reader enters your canvas? It's very different than doing a play in the sense where you can have abbreviated language. David, actually, that's a very important point. When we're on Zoom with Liebe's play, a lot of it has to be inside the spoken word, because body language between actors would be a very difficult thing.
Yeah, you can't really see it when you're like
That's right. That's right. So the emotions have to be, the mind has to be clear. The emotions have to be wafting through the brain, and clear mind and connection. The other thing is, I'm talking to a green dot, right? So here you are, and I like looking at your face. I guess I could just look at your face. But in order to include our audience, I'm talking at that green dot. So it's not a human face.
Ain't that something? Well, I'm glad you're going to get back on stage as Dr. Ruth soon.
Yes, I'm very glad to do that. And I'm very glad before that to do Liebe Weinberg's play on Sunday, The Gett.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for all the wonderful, wonderful publicity that good old Lilyville has had. Because Lilyville is not just a memoir. It looks at the parent-child relationship. In this particular case, the mother-daughter, but it can apply to any child that has a parent. So that pretty much takes care of all of us.
Yeah.
And it's not only the perfect gift for Mother's Day, but it deals with the profound questions of what are the effects of early socialization on a child?
Yeah.
How can you hear a child? How do you hear what they need? How do you adjust to that? And how are you a witness to your child in the most positive way? Lilyville has a very happy ending. My mother lived long enough for us to solve our different ways of communicating. We were like 2 trees, and eventually the branches bowered together, and we became very intimate, particularly after the death of my father, Sidney, on May the 11th, 1996. It was then that Lily went into full blossom.
Tovah, I appreciate your time.
I appreciate your time, David.
The book is out now. You can find it wherever you prefer to purchase books.
Great. Amazon and Target. And if you get stuck, www.tovahfeldshuh.com, and then you push a button on the website, it takes you to all those sites.
And for tickets to the Gett, you can just go on play-perview.com. It's all easy to find. It's all easily Googleable.
That's right. Liebe Weinberg, The Gett. Don't miss it this Sunday.
4 o'clock. Tovah, be well. I'll see you in person hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Thank you, David.
And thanks everybody for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.